Still, yeah. So we'll start with the second lecture of Python basics. So now we'll be talking about variables, right? Above given there are a few figures. These are random details. There is my name, there is some address, there is a name of a brand, there's a number, right? There are a lot of there's a negative number, there are a lot of things, right? These all are values, correct? Now today I my name is Aryan, right? And your name might be something else. I can see somebody is named Rama here, right? So somebody is named Avishkar here. So there are a lot of names, correct? So those I want to give names to every value that I declare, right? If I want to say use one value 10 times in my code, I don't want to type it again and again and again. So I give it a name and I simply call it, right? I do not randomly, like if you want to save my phone number, you would give it a name, right? You would give it the contact saying Aryan phone number, right? So that is the variable name for my phone number, right? So this is a variable, right? And now we will look into what are the rules for naming a variable and how do you name a variable, right? And let me share it with you just a second. Yeah, so I will also correct. Correct. So we are looking into the rules for naming a variable. So a variable can start with a letter or an underscore character, right? An underscore is when you, if you can see post your zero, there might be a symbol with dashes. You press that with shift and an underscore is entered. I will show that in just a second, right? A variable name cannot start with a number. So my name cannot start with 9 Aryan, right? This is in terms of Python at least, right? Now it can contain alphanumeric characters. That simply means that alphabets and numeric characters, that is A B C D E 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, and an underscore symbol, the symbol that I just mentioned, right? Here the variable names are case sensitive. That means a small a and capital A are different names altogether, right? Below there are a few ways of writing a variable. I'll show them to you and explain them. Yeah, so I'll just open this, right? So just tell me if this is visible to everyone.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Wonderful. So this is sort of my Python interpreter. I will show you how to access this, and I will also show you how to access the other method. So I would prefer if everyone also opens this like whenever they see fit. Right now you can just observe me. I've put this in the chat as well, right? So now I just create a new empty notebook just to show you guys actually how everything happens, right? So I'll just open in a second. It takes a bit of time. Yeah. So here we are, right? So this must be visible to everyone, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. Right. So as we said in the rules, as it is very clearly visible, a variable name must start with a letter or an underscore character. So let us say that I want to declare a variable named, let me take somebody's name, right? So maybe I want to take the name of Sheldon, right? So there's somebody named Sheldon. I'll just take his name, right? So I put in Sheldon. Sheldon is the name, and I put Sheldon's value as great guy, right? So I put Sheldon. Sheldon is the name to the value great guy, right? The sentence the great guy, correct? Now, if I would put Sheldon as say, I can also put Sheldon as underscore Sheldon. That is also possible. I'll just show that as well. So I'll print Sheldon here. Right. So here I can, when I run this piece of code, I can see that still connecting. This takes a couple of seconds, and the first time you run it, then it is smooth. Yeah, so I can see that Sheldon is equal to great guy. I can print great guy, correct? Now if I put underscore Sheldon here and underscore Sheldon here, this should also work because an underscore is allowed, right? Now if I put 4 here, should this work?
No.
Yes, sir.
Correct. So it won't work because it cannot start with a number, right? So I run this and I'll be able to see invalid syntax. So syntax is the way you write code, and invalid means that we are doing something wrong, right? So here this becomes wrong. But I'll just make something very clear. I can do this, that it is Sheldon 4 will be allowed. So a number is allowed at anywhere but the beginning. Correct? So this is how a variable should be declared. There's one more rule that says it doesn't should not have a dash, that is a hyphen in the beginning also. I'll show that as well. So I'll have a hyphen here. It'll give me an error. Correct? I can also sort of put the hyphen in the middle here maybe, and you'll be able to see. Correct? Again, it gives me an error. So a hyphen, that is a dash, cannot be used as a name, but underscore can be added. Correct? So I can put an underscore in the middle as well. Now, if you can look here, there are a couple of 4 casings that I've mentioned. What are these casings? I'll show you all of them to you. Correct? So now first we will look into camel casing. Correct? So camel casing. So a camel has humps, right? As you can see here. So a camel has a hump. So what we do, we create humps. So we write the name normally. So for example, my name is my variable new. Okay, this is my name. So now it is a little bit difficult to understand where a new word starts, right? Because I have not put any differentiator. That is why casings are used. So in camel casing, what happens is that the first word comes as small, but every number after the name after the every word after the first word, you capitalize the first letter, right? So my variable new would become my variable new. Correct? So everything is small except the first letter of every word except the first one. Is that clear? Do
Yes.
you want one more example? Okay, perfect. So let me take any name. Okay? Let me say hello Cheryl. Okay, let me just say this. Okay, now if I write it normally, I am not able to differentiate where hello ends and your name starts, right? So what I do is I create some sort of a differentiator. That the casings are used to create this differentiator, right? So of course this will be an error right now, but again, so I have to write it here. So what I do is I name it in this manner. The first word, everything is small. From the second word onwards, the first letter becomes capital. So I put it in this way. Correct? So this is sort of how camel casing works. Right? Now we will look at one more kind of casing, that is Pascal casing. In Pascal casing, what happens is every word first character has to be capitalized. So in camel casing, every first word does not have to have the first character capitalized, but in Pascal casing, this would become hello Cheryl. Right? So you can see this is capital and this is small here. So in camel casing, can you see the hump at S? So we are having one capital, so this is an S. If we had one more word, it would have one more hump. Right? This is how camel casing works. In Pascal casing, we'll have capital, small, then capital, then small. This is more of a wave here, right? Then we have snake casing and kebab casing. So I'll show you snake casing. So snake casing. So in snake casing, everything is small, but we put underscores instead of spaces. So by default, I should have written, say, hello Cheryl. Cheryl should be written as hello Cheryl, right? So instead of the space, I simply put an underscore. Correct. So this is, so if you look at a longer string, so I can say if I put in a longer string, this starts to look kind of a snake. So that is why it's called snake casing. These are the 3 casings that actually work with Python. There's another casing that is very popular, but I just want to show you, and one of you should tell me why this won't work. In this casing, this is how we will name the variable. Now, one of you has to tell me why this would not work.
Because
Anyone?
have like the dash.
Yes, you're perfectly, you're right. You're right. So the dash is not allowed, and because we use that, that is why the kebab casing is not allowed, right? So we know that this kebab casing is invalid in Python. Correct. Is this part clear? Are the rules of variable naming and the casings clear to everyone? If anyone could just turn on their mics and let me know, or chat. Perfect, perfect. Great, it's clear, right? So I'll just present again. Yeah, so this is how we name a variable, and we use variables for almost everything. In the coming slides, you'll be able to look into it and sort of understand why these are important as well. Correct? So in the next slide, we can see the types of variables. So now we know how to name variables, but there will still be types of variables, right? My name is a string. So that means my name is a text, correct? So my name would be a word, a collection of words that we write. Words equal to string, correct? So a word is called a string in Python. A sentence is called a string in Python, correct? My phone numbers will not have words, right? It will have numbers, correct? So that would become integers, right? Then the temperature today would be say 35.5 degrees. This is a decimal number. A decimal becomes a float, correct? Complex you can leave out, but for senior students they might be knowing that complex numbers are any number that cannot be represented in the real world. You can ignore this for now, but this is still a part of it. A boolean is a true, false, yes, no kind of question. So if you ask me, did you eat lunch, I can say either yes or no, true or false. This is a boolean, correct? So now we will look into each of these types in detail and sort of understand when which is used and how to use them very successfully and efficiently. Correct? So let us first look into strings. So you can see a couple of examples that I've given on the top. So a string can have numbers in it. A string can sort of have names in it. A string can have complete word paragraphs in it. I will show you how that works. Right. So this is a string. I'll just show you how this works. So the thing that you can see right now, this is called string slicing. Right. So this helps me get a part of the string, the part that I require of the string there. So I'll just copy this and copy all of this. And we'll keep it here. Here. So I'll move ahead. And, yeah. So of course, this will give us some errors. Yeah. Okay. So here you can see that I put something. Correct. So my string. This is. Tell me which casing this is. Tell me in the chat or in the mic that which casing have I used when I've named this variable.
So camel casing.
Perfect. You're right. You're perfectly right. Wonderful. So here I can see that I've named my
Snake
variable.
casing.
No. This is camel casing. Snake casing would have underscores in the middle. Okay, I hope that is clear. We'll just move ahead as well. Correct. So my string is the name of the variable, and my words, my sort of sentence is Python programming. Correct. Now what happens in Python is that the counting starts from 0. So normally if I would have said then P is at position 1, Y is at 2, T is at 3. But in Python, everything starts from 0. So it would become P is at 0, Y is at 1, T is at 2. Is this clear to everyone? The way it is counted in Python?
Yes.
Perfect.
No, sir.
Okay, I'll tell you. So normally if I would have said, where is P? So P's index would be 1, correct? Because it's on the first place.
Okay, I got it.
But with Python, it would have been at 0th place, because in Python, counting begins from 0. The index counting begins from 0. Correct. So now when I say my variable and I put a square bracket with a number inside, what it does is it finds that particular number, the character at that particular number for me. So tell me everyone, which character would be printed if I run the first line of code?
P.
P, correct? I'll just show that to you as well. Correct. So you're right. Correct. So now one more thing happens. So now if I would have put 1 here, which character would have gotten?
Y.
Y, correct. So here I can see y, right? Now, when I put -1, it starts the counting from the end. Okay, and I hope this is clear to everyone. I'm still tell you again. It starts from 0, so it goes from 0 to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, dot 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 dot. And when you count from reverse, it starts from -1, then -2, because of course you start from 0, but you end with a number, right? So when I put -1, which character do you think should be printed?
G. G.
G. Correct. So here we can see G, right? So is this clear to everyone? Is the minus clear to everyone?
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. So now you can see there are two values inside, right? Whenever you see this symbol here, this means that the starting index, the starting number is 0 and the ending is 3. So in Python, what happens is whenever you put it in this manner, it goes from the beginning range to the ending -1. So if I say 0 to 3, it will go from 0th to 1 to the second one, right? So it goes from beginning to ending -1. Okay. So now when I run 0 to 3, what characters would be printed?
So P, Y, T, H.
PYT.
Correct. So PYT is the right answer, and I'll show you and I'll tell you why. H will not be considered because I said ending -1. So I agree H would have been there if 3 was included, but 3 is not. So you put -1 and one character less than the last one. Is this clear now?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. 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 So now I'll just show you some more iterations of the same thing. And whenever this is empty, whenever the right side of the colon, this dot dot, whenever the right side is empty, it automatically takes it to be the last character, right? So when I run this, what do you think will be printed?
Leaving the last letter, I guess. Everything else.
Everything. It takes the last one into account. Whenever you leave it blank, it takes everything till the last value. Now I'll show you what happens when you leave the first character empty. Whenever you leave the first character empty, it defaults to 0, right? So it goes to the first character. You leave the right empty, it goes to the last character. You leave the left value empty, it goes to the first character, right? This is how it would work. Now what do you think should be printed?
P, Y, T, sir.
Correct, because this is 0 to 3. Now I have a question. Tell me what would happen in this.
So
Anyone?
it would not print anything.
Okay, any other answers?
P.
Anyone else?
The first and the last letter.
The whole thing.
Okay, so yeah, so the whole thing is the right answer because
Okay.
on the left I have nothing, so it defaulted to the first value. On the right I have nothing, so it took the last value. I'll just show you. See, the whole thing is printed here. Correct. Rama is also right in the chat. Everything perfect. So this is how string slicing would work. Is this clear to everyone? Can we move ahead?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Correct. So this is how strings would work. Now I will tell you some short ways of finding some properties and changing something with strings. This is also very, very easy, very, very simple. I'll show this to you as well. It is very simple. So if I want to, again, I'm using the same string Python programming. If I want to find the length of my string, the length tells me the number of characters and spaces I have. Correct. So I can count from here. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 space 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Right. So I have 18 characters here. So it prints 18. Now, if I want to make everything capitalized, I simply put dot upper. So what dot upper does is that every small character, it turns into capital. So you can see my YTHON was small and it became capital, and so for the row gramming part, right? So everything became capital. Now I can also do the lowercase. So what the lowercase would do is that it would simply, all the capital characters would become smaller, right? These appear to be very simple things, and they are very fundamental, but these are very important, because when you're dealing with real world problems, you will see a lot of variation. Some people have written capital, some have written small. So how do you deal with that? You make everything unified and then you process it, correct? So this is how this is important yet fundamental, right? If you want to print in the next line, then you just put in a, I'm so sorry, then you just put in a backslash. A backslash is the icon above enter, if you could see on your keyboard. A backslash and an n, and then you write the second word. So it would print the part before backslash n, then it would go to the next line and print the part after backslash n, right? Now concatenate strings simply means joining strings, right? So what I've done is I've named another variable saying rocks, and I've joined my Python programming with the word and a space. So it joined Python programming, it added one space in the middle, and it added rocks, right? So it has come to be Python programming rocks, right? So this is how strings would be joined, right? Here there's one more thing, that is splitting of strings. What it does is primarily splits the strings based on a certain parameter. So I have selected, if you can see in the split, you can see there are colons and an empty space. That means I've selected the space. So now I can see that Python and programming are separated by a space here. Is that right? So it splits into two words in the list. It's Python and programming, right? Is this clear to everyone? What is the point? So Rama, primarily speaking, if for example I have created a form, and you have submitted your address, you have submitted your password in smaller case or uppercase, or if you entered your name in the uppercase or smaller case, and as I've already said, in Python it is case sensitive. If I put your name as small rama, you put your name as capital rama, it would be two different things. I need to unify everything, right? So I bring them to the same case and then compare it. This is the point of string operations, to unify the data and to process strings. In the next slide, you will see a little more advanced version of this. Is it clear to you? I'm splitting the string. Oh, okay. So, for example, I want to analyze, say, like you have given me in a line, you have said my address is 3 Greater Noida, Delhi, India. Right now, it is difficult for me to understand what you mean. So I split it into different words and I store it, say 3 Delhi, Greater Noida, India. So now which of my delivery guy is going to Greater Noida, I can simply search that part and it will come on top, because it is already split and kept there. Right? Is this part clear? Thank you so much. Right. So now we'll just move to the next part. So again, we're continuing this. Now, these things, I think you'll understand better why these are relevant. So find is very simple. If you want to find a part in the string, so it will give you the index. So as you can see, I searched for thon and I got 2. So that meant at the 2th index, right? So you can see p at 0, y at 1, t at 2, right? So here you can see where that particular part is. Now in 2 words, it looks fairly simple, right? But how can we split the characters of a string? If I'll come to that, I'll show that to you in the code. Just give me 1 minute, Ms. Casey. Right. So in this manner, I can find the index. Now these are only 2 words, but when you are dealing with 100 words or more, you want to know where that character is. You can do that. It will give you the position of the first time that particular phrase or the character or the word has appeared. Right. The second part is the count. So here you can see I have searched py. I would have only one py here, but if I had several, I would have seen the count here. Now this is also relevant. For example, I want to, again, in the example I've given addresses and I've done all of that. I want to find how many people are from Delhi. I just put in count Delhi. I can see the number of times Delhi was mentioned. Correct. Now there is replacement. So a string, you can replace a particular part. Right. So you have, you want to replace an A with a B. You can do that here. Correct. So here you can see I printed, I replaced Y with G, and you can see it become PGTH on, right, instead of Python. Right. So this is exactly how replace works. Now here in this is a multi-line string. So here I had only 2 words in the same line. But if I want to have a complete paragraph, a page of content, I put 3 quotation marks and I put it there. I'll show that to you in a second. Right. Now, one more thing, why we split and why we remove duplicates and all of that. There is also a problem that you have entered a space before and after your name. So strip is something that removes all spaces in the beginning and the end of a document, of a word, right? I'll just show you how apart some things of this work. I'll just close this part. Right. So we have our, like, I'll show you what my string is. These basic commands were covered last time, but this is how you print a word. And so I'm just printing something, and oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot to capitalize. See, it is case sensitive. Right. So I can see that. I'm sorry. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Just a second. Yeah. So I can see it here. Now I will just show you how this would work. So now I want to say dot find. I put dot find, and I put just name a character. Anyone, just turn on your mics and name a character. Or in the chat.
ing.
IG. IG.
ing.
ing. Okay, perfect. So I want to find ing. So it comes in the end, of course. So it is like 15. So you can count and verify it as well, right? So you can see this. Now I do the same thing with say my string dot find. I do say py. Okay, so I put in py. So here when I put py, I will find -1. That means this is not found. And why is this not found? Will anyone tell me?
Sir, because they are not together.
No, the slightly wrong. Anyone else?
P is capital, so it's case sensitive.
Perfect. So as I mentioned, this is case sensitive. So when I put capital, I'll be able to see, yeah, 0. So that's the first position, right? Now, apart from this, I can also search only for P. So I'll see Python and programming, right? So the first occurrence is at the first position is clear. The first index is given to us. So that is why we received 0. Now, if instead of find, I put in count, what should be my answer here? How many P's do I have? Capital P's.
2.
2.
So we have the answer 2, right? And this is how everything would work.
I don't understand for ing, how is it 15?
It tells you the starting index.
Won't that start from -1?
I'm sorry.
For ing, won't that start from -1? So 15, I didn't understand how is it 15?
But here we are trying to find everything. So when you find or you do, if I do not specify -1, it starts from the left, right? In general, whenever we write or we read, we start from the left. So it is the same thing with Python. So it starts to read from the left. It does 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 till the time it finds ing, and then it gives us that number. Is this clear?
Okay.
Correct. So I think we have a couple of questions. I'm sorry. How can we split the character of a string? I'll do that. What if we write py in small so the code won't run or gives an error? The code will run, but it will not find anything because it's looking for small py, but we have capital py, which is not the same thing. So that is why it shows -1. -1 means not found. Correct. What is -3? So -3, if you're talking about the index, I'll show that to you. Right. I'll say my string, and I'll put -3 here. You can say I is -3. It is the third character from the right. Oh, yeah, that is the right definition as well. Is like
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, for example, if I want to find certain letters which are not together, for example, Y and M. So how will I find that?
You put Y. If
So
you're
can
looking,
we
you can combine.
find them together?
you can, because of course you can put two separate lines of code and do it. There are ways of doing it. I can also tell you how OR would work, but that is sort of like what we'll be covering in the next time. So this would sort of look for Y or N. So whatever comes first, it'll tell you. Right, so this is sort of something that we could use, but the problem is or and these are logical connection and everything, and I was
Okay.
hoping that once we clear this part, then in the next session I focus on this. So this would require a larger amount of time. Correct.
Okay, no
Yeah,
problem.
somebody had
Thank
a
you.
doubt on splitting, right? So I'll just show that to you. So currently what I've done is I will, I'm so sorry. Yeah, dot split and based on space, right? So I will be able to see Python and programming. So now what I've done is I've split them into two. Now let me name it as split, right? If I do the same thing to if I just put this as split strings, actually a little fundamental would be required, but what will the result to find Python programming together? It would give me 0 because Python programming started from the first character, right? So now if I select the first value of Python programming, so as you guys know, counting begins from 0, right? So if I want to split Python, I put 0 and then I put dot split. I'm so sorry. What have I done? Oh, because, oh, okay. Actually, I can give you a way to split, but it would not require, like, involve the function split. I would have to sort of give you, like, I'll have to teach you some loops or something to split it completely. I think that is the way to do it properly. Like, Kirti, I think you'll have to stick around for future lectures for that, but it is a fairly simple thing. You don't have to do a lot to do it, actually. You just have to put in, like, you just have to click a normal split. So if I do it without quotations, I don't remember if it still works or not. Okay, so it is still just splitting it for me. Let me see. Oh yeah, so it is working. Let me see. I think you'll have to stick around for future lectures for me to actually explain it to you, because I can show you, but I cannot explain it to you right now. Correct. So this is how strings would work, and now we'll just move
So I
on
have
to.
one doubt.
I'm sorry.
I have one doubt.
Sorry.
One doubt.
Yes, please.
Yeah, what will the output for my 5 string was there no function? Can you
Let's see.
show me
Tell
that?
me.
Yeah, my string dot find capital P and capital Y.
It will give me -1. Oh, I'm so yeah. It will give me -1 because I have capital P and small y in the sentence, but I do not have capital P and capital Y. So capital P Y I can find it, but if I use capital P and capital Y, that will not be available. Is this doubt clear?
Yes.
Perfect. So now we'll move on to strings and sort of the other number types, and we'll move through them and then look into other things as well. Correct. So now let's look into integers. So as I already said, numbers, full numbers saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all are primarily integers, right? We will look into numbers and sort of how they plus, minus, and basic mathematics here. And we will revisit mathematics once we are done with all the data types, right? So I've just named an integer my integer, right? Put in the chat if you know what casing this is, right? And then you can also see what I've printed here, my integer +2. So I'm adding, the result comes to be 92, minus I do 88, multiply I do 180, divide I do 45. This is the remainder symbol, right? Okay, Achintya, you're right. It's camel casing. Perfect. And so the remainder, what it does is whatever number I provided, the remainder percentage symbol stands for remainder. Whatever the remainder is, it prints that. So 290 divided by 2, the remainder has to be 0 because it's an even number. That is why it comes to be 0. Right? And now let us, so now let us move a little bit ahead, and we'll look into where integers can be used. Phone numbers are 1 plus integers can be used. Prices can be used, but paise won't be included. Speed can be used, but the post decimal speed, you cannot say I traveled at 100.5 kilometers per hour. Distance also you cannot say 100.5 kilometers, you can only say 100 kilometers. Height also you can say I am 200 centimeters tall, but you cannot say 200.5 centimeters. Weight, and also profit loss, you can say my profit loss for this year is plus 1000 or minus 1000, but you cannot say plus 1000.5 or minus 1000.5. So this has a fair bit of limitations, right? Now to solve these, we look at float. So float is nothing but your decimal number. So here you can see I've named it my integer, the variable, but it is a float, right? So this also tells you the name of the variable has nothing to do with what type it is, correct? So my float, my integer is 90.2, my number is 90.2. I add 2 to it, it becomes 92.2. I subtract, I divide, I multiply, I find the remainder. So all of these are basic mathematical operations that you can run. I will show you how them work in a by the end of when we read the mathematical functions. So here you can see how decimals are sort of worked upon here, correct? Now we will look into where they can be used. So now our problems are solved in terms of accuracy. I can tell you how much something costs with paisa. I can tell you the speed with the decimal. I can tell you height with the smaller unit, weight, profit loss, everything. So what this means is that this increases the accuracy, and this is something that can be used in a lot of applications, right? Now I also spoke about complex numbers, but I'll just skim through it because this does not hold a lot of value in what we're trying to achieve, and this is fair. You will very rarely use this even in real life applications, right? Now we will look into booleans, correct? So booleans, as I said, were true, false, yes, no, whatever. So now, as I can say, again, my integer, it is not an integer, it's Boolean, but I can name it whatever I want. So I can say this is equal to true. So it prints true. Now, if I want to flip my Boolean, I type not space and the name of my integer. I'll show that in code as well. And when I run that, it gives me false because now it was true. Now it becomes not true. It became false. Is this part clear to everyone? Is everything till now clear to everyone? Correct.
Yes,
Wonderful. Wonderful. So the uses of Boolean is conditional. So I can give you a condition that if your age is above 18, I can allow you. That is a Boolean. Your eligibility means that if you are a girl, I can allow you. So goes for gender. True could be for female and false could be male, right? Availability could be do you have this, yes or no. So all of these are just uses of Boolean. Right.
So this can also be used for passwords.
Booleans cannot be used for passwords. Strings can be used for passwords. Because Booleans are only yes, no, true, and false. You will not be having. Okay. If you mean validation, if you enter a password, I can tell you if it is right or wrong. That will be a Boolean. But your password would be a string. Have I made this clear?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So I'll just show you sort of how Booleans would work. So I'll just name something saying my bool, and I make it true, correct? So my bool is now true, and now I print not my bool. So now it will print false because my bool is replaced by true, and it says not true, so it becomes false. Now is this also clear? Wonderful. Wonderful. Right. So now we will look into a very important topic. This is sort of conversion among data types. So as I mentioned, a string can have numbers, right? And I can convert that into integers if I want to add, because I cannot add, say if I type 90 plus 2, and if it's a string, it will become 902, right? But if it's a number, it will become 92. So I convert it to an integer, but only strings which have only numbers, only they can be converted to an integer or a float, right? So now, as you can see, a string can be converted to a float by simply writing int and in the bracket the name of the string. I'll show all of these to you in just a second. And now you can see a float is a decimal. Now I can convert a decimal to a number, but what it would do, it would simply neglect everything I have post the decimal point, and it will only make the left part of my number my integer, right? So you can see 90.90 becomes 90, only 90, correct? Now I can also convert integer to float. So once I do that, it does nothing. It just adds a 0 at the end, because now it's become a decimal, so it needs to have a decimal point and a 0. Right? Again, into complex is not that important. You can ignore it. Now we'll look at string character to Ascii. So Ascii is sort of, your computer does not understand A, B, C, D, E. So what it has done is every character, including your say your alphabets, small alphabet, capital alphabet, symbols like comma, full stop, exclamation, everything, all of them have been assigned a value. These are called the Ascii value. And to get that, all you have to do is write ORD and the name of the variable. I would love if you guys would try this on your own, maybe after the session or during the session. You would really enjoy looking at the way your words, like you could have your entire name in Ascii. So you could put one character and find what it means, what the number would be in Ascii. It's wonderful, right? So now this is how you go from string to Ascii. And if you want to go from Ascii to string, you simply put character, that is CHR, and the name of the Ascii. Right, I will show this code to you, and that I think would help you understand also. Right, so let us say I will name an integer 90. Okay, I will name a float equal to, just till then give me an idea for a number, any numbers that you guys can think of.
56.
56. Okay. So I'll name I'll just name a string now, my string, and I'll put it equal to 56. Okay. So this is a string, this is a word. 56 is stated as a word here, but I'll show you how we can convert these. Okay. So now I want to make my string into an integer. So what I do is for a print, I put it as int my string. So it is showing me 56. So now my character has become a number. I'll show you the difference between the two. Right. So you can see, like, of course, you cannot see the difference currently, but I'll show you the difference. Just a second. Give me. If I write plus, say, let me make a variable a is equal to 2. So what this will show me, just look into this. Can only concatenate string, not integer, right? Because 2 is an integer. Now, if I take this sort of out of the bracket and I do the same thing, I'll show it to you. Yeah. So it'll give me the same error, of course. You cannot add a string and of course you cannot add my name with my phone number, right? But if I convert this to an integer, you'll be able to see that now it is added, right? That means we have successfully turned it into a number, right? Now I will show you how we can convert the float into an integer. So all you have to do is I'll first print the float, and you can see 40.6, 40.6 as we put there. Now we will make it an integer, and you'll be able to see what happens. See, 0.6 is lost, only 40 is left, right? So this is how integer float would be converted to an integer. Now let me say make my integer as a float. Okay, so I'll show that to you as well. So my integer is 90. If I make it a float, this is what it becomes now.
90.0.
Perfect. 90.0. Well done. I love that you answered. Well done. Right. So this is how everything would work. This is how type conversion works. I will also show you, say I take anything, character, random. So I'm just taking a random character, say A. Right. I'll just show you how Ascii value is taken out. So I put print A, and I type here character random, right? And oh, I'm so sorry, not A, ORD. ORD brings my character to my Ascii value. So I can see 97. Now I'll show it to you for capital A, and you will see the difference. 65. So capital A is 65 and small a is 97. So these are just numbers that you can toy around with. I can also show you with the exclamation mark. 33. So these are separate values. Now if I want to say make this into a character, I simply put CHR and I put the number 33, and I'll be able to see an exclamation made. Right. So this is how you go from Ascii and from back to Ascii. Right. Is this part clear to everyone?
How is the Ascii number important or useful?
Ascii is just the way your computer understands characters. You can ignore this, currently. You won't be using it anytime soon, at least, but it is sort of just a way for your computer to understand, and it's a fun way for you to like visualize how your computer will actually understand what you're typing, right? So this is the significance of this.
Okay.
Perfect. So let's now look into taking input. So this is an exciting part. When I learned this, I was very excited because till now only I could put my variable and I could put everything in, but now I can take the input from the user as well, right? So why would you take user input? It basically enables our system to be usable by anyone, and I can change my response based on the input. So in the next week we will be learning about conditional. Then what that would teach you is whatever you input, the output would change, and that would give you a very good it would give you a very good interface in which you can add a lot of things. You can add that his name, I should greet him this manner, this way. When your dad puts in their name, you say hello dad. When your mom puts in, you say hello mom. So all of that would work, right? So this is how you take and this is why you take inputs. Also, you can build a calculator, you can build a form, you can build an information retrieval system, you can make a registration form. A lot of things can be done with input. Now, how do you take input? I'll show you directly on the code. So let us say I want to say name, right? So I put here input, right? And I put tell me your name, correct? And when I run this, I will be greeted with a sort of a text box where I can say Aaryan, correct? And when I run this, name would become Aaryan. So when I print name, what would be printed?
Aaryan.
Yeah, correct. So Sean has prepared a calculator. Wonderful. I was supposed to, actually, people who were there last time, I was supposed to do that. But after looking at the feedback, I did think that a little feedback would be better. By the next week, we've planned to build a calculator, but I would love to see your calculator as well. Like I have dropped my GitHub and my email ID. Send it over. I'll look into it. If you're on the WhatsApp group, send it to me or send it on the group. I would love to see what you've made. Right now, this is how I've taken my name. Now, if I want to ask, say, number, right? I say input, and I say, tell me your phone number, right? So this would sort of like I ask me to give me my phone number, but this would again give me a string. So what you do is, how do you convert string to an integer? Anyone?
Put int outside the bracket.
Correct. So I just do this, and now it will only accept a number. I'll first show you what happens if I add a character. It will give me an error, invalid little for int with base. And so it cannot take anything but a number now. So now I can put in any number and it will accept this. So now my phone number has become this. Similarly, if I want to say temperature, I want to say input, tell me temperature, right? So now what kind of data type would be perfect for temperature?
Float.
Okay, so how do I put that?
Prefix.
Perfect. So I believe it's float to this and I run this. So now I can put a temperature in terms of say 35.6 and I'll be able to see. So your number is my temperature is 35.6. Right. So this is how input works. Now, is this clear to everyone?
What if I want to put a restriction of the length? Like you can put only 9 characters or something of that sort.
Correct. So that can be put. That is once we sort of visit conditionals. Then what we'll do is once we accept, we'll just say I'll just show you something. So we did look into length, right? So if I print length of length of let me say name is a word, right? So I'll see that length is 6. What I will do is after this I will put in a conditional. You guys haven't visited conditional now. I'll show that to you as well. but I'll just sort of type it here just for the sake of it. If length name, like don't worry about this, I'm just showing this to you, greater than 4 characters, print limit exceeded. Right? Is this like, this would be something that you would be interested in, right? So whatever I have put in, you want it to be less than 4, correct? So it now shows limit exceeded. So this is something we will visit in the next week. Like, be present for it. Like, it will actually be a very good interactive experience and you'll love it.
In the 59th line, it's written, tell me your name. Like L is mentioned in that.
Yeah,
extra.
because I had accidentally typed L before, I just removed it afterwards.
Okay, so yeah, like
Yeah,
it would be an error, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It won't be an error. I have accidentally I wrote that. Correct. So this is how everything would work, and now I'll just sort of, we'll go back and we'll continue, right? So now we took an input. Now we will look into mathematical functions. Now this is going to be interesting. I'm so sorry, I forgot. You can use float for number as well. Yeah, you can use float, but ideally you won't find a phone number with a decimal, right? So an integer seems to be the better choice. Correct. Now we'll just move to mathematics. So I've already told you about these functions: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Modulus is remainder. Exponent is to the power of. So 2 raised to 3 is 2 asterisk asterisk 3. Right. Then there is floor division. So floor division means how many, like if I put 5 floor division 2, then I can put maximum 2 units of 2 in 1 5, right? Otherwise I would exceed it. So Janvi, the classes till 6. We will be covering we'll be completing with the theory part in the next 5 minutes, and then we'll be going towards the hands-on session. Right? It is a 1.5 hour session.
Okay, sir.
Correct. So this is the basic math functions. We will also look into a sort of a little bit advanced and more relevant mathematical functions. I will show all of them to you via code. Just look into everything that I'm going to show you right now. So the screen does look a little like a lot of stuff here, but it's very, very simple. So just look into here. I've put two numbers, 902.22 and b is equal to 4, right? So a is a float and b is an integer. Now we will look into one thing at a time. So a ceiling and a floor. So finding ceiling and floor. So ceiling is the smallest number, that is a smallest full number that is bigger than the decimal. So 902.22, which would be the smallest big number, the smallest number that is greater than 902.22?
902.23.
No, the complete number, the full number without decimal, an integer.
903.
Perfect. So that is why we have 903. Floor is the exact opposite. It is the smallest number that is just, that is the number that is just smaller than your decimal. So 902.2 comes to be 902,
Okay.
right? Right. So a factorial is something that means, I am not sure if everyone here knows about the factorial. There are kids here as well, but I'll just skim through it. So primarily a factorial is like, if I put 4, it multiplies every number from 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 1 into 2 into 3 into 4. If it's 5, then it's 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5. So doing that for, say, if I say find me then a factorial for 100, you're already multiplying 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5 into dot, 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 100, right? So in this manner, all you have to do is put math.factorial, put 100 and be done with it. Correct? This is how you would do it. Now, exponent means e raised to the power, again, not very relevant. All of these other things are actually things that are sort of advanced in terms of mathematics. Only one thing, I think square root is something people would be knowing about. So SQRT, which is short for square root, you put that and you will find the square root of that particular number. Also GCD is the greatest common divisor. So this is something that is very preliminary in maths, but it is actually a big problem when you look at competitive coding or problems of this sort. So this is very relevant there. I'll just show a couple of, say, math functions here to you. So to work with the math library, all you have to do is type import and math. So math would be imported for you. Then you can do anything. So if I say name 903.44, it will get loaded. It will get imported in a couple of seconds. This is running, right? I'll just close this part. Yeah, so I stopped it in the middle. That is why it's giving me an error. So now it is it's imported math. Now I've named a variable A. So what would happen if I do this?
903.
903.
What would happen if I do this?
903.
Correct. And what would happen if I do this?
904.
904. Now, if I want to find the, say, I don't know, what else? What do you have to cover? Okay, the square root of, so this is not a square number, but you'll still see. It will give me a decimal value. So it gives me this. Now, if I, instead of A, if I had put in 9, what I would have received 3. Correct? So the square root of the particular number. This is how the math function works, and it is sort of it is a important thing for everyone. It is a very, very important thing, but you can sort of understand that this is for complex problems, right? You won't be using them in the base version. So of course you'll have access to the slide if you want to revisit. I'm sorry.
Fabs.
Fabs, it is the absolute value. I'll just show it to you. So now if I do math.fabs, fabs is find absolute. That is what it does. So now if I put in A, it will give me the absolute value, right? So it is the exact value that we're using right now. So it, like, when you increase the digits, you'll be able to see this. That it will also give you the absolute value then, right? So many times what happens is you lose a part of the values because of computational restraints as well. So this gives you the absolute value. If it was an integer, it would have given you an integer value. Right, so it gives you .0. That means it's sort of there's nothing beyond it, right? It does convert it to a float, because I'll show that as well. So when you hover on any of these, you'll see what they actually do.
Also, we can change the parameter in between, like you did for 9. Like so, the code won't read the A equals to 903, and it will read 9 directly.
Yeah. So currently I have A here. It would show me this. I change this to 9. It will show me whatever 9 is.
Okay.
Right. This is how it works, right? And this is how everything else works. So this is, you will have access to this. I will upload it on the same place, and I'll share the link in the WhatsApp group, and everyone can go through this. Now we will look into, so we'll have a very short sort of a pop quiz, and this would be like fairly basic. You would have a lot of things. I will put the link in the chat, and you can also scan this code with your mobile phone. Just open the camera or something, and you can just open and let us see where we're headed, right? So I am opening up the question, and let's see. Correct. So has everyone answered this question?
There was only one question, right?
Yeah. We will be moving to the next question soon. Like, is this the only, like, I'm just trying to understand if everyone answered this question. Yeah, I think it must be visible to you. Yeah, so you're still answering. Yeah, so you can't. Is everyone done with this question? I'll tell you the right answer.
Yes, sir.
Right, so the right answer is the string, of course. It's not the integer. And my string sort of tells me my address would have to come in the string, because it will say Delhi. Delhi cannot be summed up in a number, right? So now, yeah.
What if,
yes, please?
because a home address is always mixed up of integer and strings?
Correct. So a string can contain an integer, but an integer cannot contain a string. So in my string, I can say 325 Delhi, India. But in my integer, I cannot say 325 Delhi. I can only say 325. Right. So a string can have any value inside it.
But cannot start with a number, right?
Sorry?
It cannot be
Said that it cannot start with a number.
Correct. A variable name cannot start with a number. So the name, if I say my string would be named, the variable that I'm using, that would be named home address. But my home address can start with a number. The value can start with a number. So I'll show you what I mean. So here, if I say type home address,
Okay, I get it.
India, I can do this. This is perfectly fine, but I cannot do this. This is an error. Correct? Right. So now we'll just move to the next question, okay? And yeah, so you'll be able to see this question now. These are which are not valid variable names, like again, just letting everyone know. And I'm waiting for more answers. Okay, is everyone done? I'll release the results now. Okay, I'll just show the correct answer. Correct. So majority of you were correct, and the reasons are 8 underscore names begins with an 8, which is a number which is not allowed, and A-9 jello, that number is not. Oh, I forgot to stop voting. Yeah, okay, you won't be able to see the right answer then. Again, I'll just show the answer to you. You can whatever you want. Yeah, so the hyphen is what makes it wrong, right? The hyphen and the 8. These are the reasons why these two questions are wrong, right? Now we'll just move to the next question. Correct? Which casing is this variable in? So I have 100% correct. Wonderful. Well done, everyone. We're having 100% correct. Well done. So now we're done with the questions. Now we'll sort of move on to some things about the session. Just I want to understand, and sort of you can tell me how you found, like how did you like it, and if you want anything changed, any improvement, anything, any kind of feedback, suggestions would be appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you again. That's wonderful. Right, you can continue doing this. Apart from this, we have like I have a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, who's helping me sort of build the schedule and the lesson plan. So I have the complete lesson plan ready. I'm just yet to put that in a clean document and send it over. I will create that document. It will tell you what happened in every week and how we are scheduling it. That will also be shared to you in, I think, in the next 2 days, right? So I think we can close this now, and we can move back to. We can just move back to say our. Now we will be looking into a hands-on time, right? So let us start coding. Correct. Now I'm assuming a lot of you have already opened this link. If not, I'll send it again in the chat. Already done it. I'll send it again. Right. I'll show you how to do that as well, and you'll be able to do it. Yeah.
And all the the links you have shared in the chat is the same which you shared last time in the WhatsApp group?
Yeah. So in the WhatsApp group, I shared the YouTube and the GitHub link. That is the same.
Okay.
Correct. So I'm assuming you all must have been on get on a similar screen. If you've opened that link, of course you have to log in with your Google account and then you create it with a similar screen, right? You simply click on new notebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll be brought here. Correct. So I'm assuming everyone's here. So our hands-on lab today would be to create a form. So it is a fairly simple thing. We've just done it like a couple of minutes ago. All you have to do is take in 5 questions. I will tell you the question, decide which data type is the best, and create create sort of every line should contain one input based on the value that I mentioned. Choose what data type you want, do it, and at the last line you print all of them one by one. Correct? So it is a very, very basic process. Okay, so I'll tell you the fields. It is name, number, address, favorite dish, and name any parameter, anyone. Any other parameter. We'll increase one parameter. Tell me.
Actually, I'm facing a notebook loading error.
What error does it show?
It tells me that ensure that the file is accessible and try again. Could not create
You
a
click
new
on new
notebook.
notebook. Did you click on
Okay,
new notebook?
Okay, it seems that I don't have space on my email, so I'll log in from another mail.
Log in from
No
another
problem.
account. Yeah,
Yeah,
perfect.
okay.
Perfect. So gender is a good option, but again, do not use a Boolean. You can use a Boolean for gender as true and false, but remember which do you assign it true, and which you assign for false. Right? I'll add one more parameter, I think. Any other parameter? Anyone want favorite color? Right?
Contact number.
I think yeah. So the number has to be the phone number. Let's make it that. Right? And you have to name your variables in any casing you want. All should be valid names for variables. You should put them in correct data types and ask these, and you can start doing this. So you have, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 parameters. I'll put them in chat as well, and we will start. Correct? So the temperature, you can take the input. Correct. So you'll create the form for these 8. And I would like to, I'll ask anyone randomly to share their screens. And whoever is done, let me know. And I would love to see what you've made.
So like you have to actually write the name and address and everything.
No. So all you have to do is, as I did previously, you do it like this. You create, say, a name is equal to input. Tell me your name. If it's a string, I just told you how to input integers, how to input, say, float. You already know that. So stick to those data types. You know how to name variables. Use any casing you want. Do it very well and do it. And now, if you have any syntax problem, I'll just put this as an example in the chat. Correct? For you to sort of understand the data, the syntax. Right? I would love to see some output coming from everyone. So all of you, just get to it.
So to run the code, what do you press?
You press on the play button on the left, or you can press shift and enter together. Press shift and enter. Of course, I'll get an error now, but you can press shift and enter together. Right. Whoever does this the first I will be adding the name and probably photograph or anything in the next week's slide as the top performer for today's class. Everyone was able to open their notebooks? Okay, so whoever's done, you can share your screen. I will allow you to do that once again. Yeah, so you can share the screen.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Just a second, let me see. Yeah, I can.
So this is name, number, address. I just wanted to ask one thing. For gender, I've mentioned it as string. I wanted to put character, but when I was putting char, I was getting an error.
Correct. So a character is not a data type. You have only three major data types, that is string, number, and Boolean. And the number has further three types, that is integer, complex, and float. Right. So you cannot
Okay.
put it as a character here. A string can be of a single letter, as you've done correctly, M and F. So we can look into lengths and fixed lengths in the next session. Also, one thing you could have done is sort of made this a Boolean, and you could have written here, instead of MF, you could say M is equal to false, F is equal to true, or M is equal to true, F is equal to false, and whatever they enter, you store it that way. But string works
Okay.
too. I like the way you've done it. So we have name, we have integer, we have string, we have it fav dash to string, wonderful. Age is integer, gender is string, temperature is float. Everything. Perfect. I think you've done it well. I think you're good. You've done well.
Yeah.
Perfect. The types also look fine. Others, if anyone wants to show me their work.
Sir, can you add me on WhatsApp group?
I will share the link. I will share the links. Just give me 1 second.
Just one question.
Yes,
How do
please.
I assign true and false to the Boolean gender?
You don't assign it. You sort of in the instructions, when you give the instructions to add, say, M or F, you simply write M equals to false and F equals to true. So in that way, people can understand if what they want to put accordingly.
So it'll be gender equals to Boolean, bool, then bracket, I'll add the input, and then where do I see, I mean, that's it or what?
That is sort of it, right? So whoever
Okay.
enters whatever, you'll be able to see. Though to be very honest, I think a string would be a good choice here, at least because we're collecting a lot of data. Boolean would have been a very good choice if, say, we already have all the data and we are converting it to zeros and ones or trues and false. Right?
Okay.
So even a string would work. Should not be a problem. I've put the WhatsApp group link in the chat. You can, like, anyone who wants to join, they can. do have a QR code as well for the group if anyone wants to scan from their phone. That should that too. If anyone wants to join the group, you can scan this QR code as well on the top. Anyone else wants to show me their work?
Sir, can I show my work?
Yes, please. You can share your screen and show it to me.
Sir, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. Using input, tell me your name. I would have preferred if you would given good names to the variables. I think you can do that once, and otherwise it looks fine. See, there are two things that you should do. Variables name should be changed to proper names, that full names with say Camel Casing or something. And the types, you're accepting everything as a string, right? Use int or float wherever you can to unify the data types. Have you understood that?
Yes, sir.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Correct. Anyone else wants to showcase their work?
So what like this? Okay.
Sorry. It is 6. I think it is 6. So if anyone else wants to showcase, it's fine. Otherwise, we can look into it the next time as well. People who want to join the group, they can do so in the link mentioned here. And everyone else, you can please, I would appreciate if you could fill the feedback as honestly as you can, so that I can get a very good idea of where everything is, like if I'm doing it right or wrong, and I can improve it accordingly. Right. Now, lastly, I would like to request everyone if you could just turn your cameras on for a second and I can take a quick picture so that I can keep it in the folder itself so everyone can have a look.
Doubt like maybe I'll just share the screen once.
Sure.
So can you see my screen?
No, it is still not presented. On the bottom right, you would see a present now button, and
Yeah,
then you have to select the window.
yeah, I selected the window. Wait, I'll just do it again. Okay, actually, I have to bring the.
Otherwise, you can click a picture and send it on the group as well.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
That can also be done. Yeah. So again, everyone, I would appreciate if you could just turn your cameras on so we can take a quick picture, and then maybe we can have it done for the day. Others too, I would appreciate if you could turn your cameras on, please. Sean, Nathan, Rama, Priyam, Ishita, if you guys could as well. Please turn your cameras on. Hello. Hi everyone. I think 2 people are left. If you could, wonderful. Otherwise, we can take a picture. Oh, great. Rohan, Sean, if you could just turn your camera on. You're the only one left.
It's not coming. English or everything.
That's fine. Others, like I think if so you could turn your camera on once. I'll just take a quick picture as well, and then we can be done with it. Nitin, Rohan, Sean.
Sir, good evening. I joined very late. Actually, I was not known. I slept away by 5 o'clock.
That's fine. I'll be uploading this
Yeah.
recording as well. You can go through it later. Later too. It's fine.
Yes. Today's the first session where I attempted. It was
I
nice.
will send it in the WhatsApp group. You can look into I have sent the link in the chat. You can join, and I'll send it there as well.
Yeah.
Right. So if like the 2-3 people who have turned the camera off, you can turn it on. Sorry, I'm asking you.
Okay.
Yes, please. Just take a quick picture and we'll be done with it. Yeah, I think we have 2 people left, please. Rohan and Priyam, please. Okay, I'll just take a picture. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you liked it. And you've registered this time, so you will receive a notification the next time we do as well. In the same show, I'll be adding another, in the same link on the Insider or Eventbrite, I'll be adding another show for next week. And you guys can register again if you want notification only for that, or if you're already registered, you'll receive. Right. So I would appreciate if you guys could join the WhatsApp group for any sort of doubt clearing and everything. And thank you so much for joining. If you have any queries, I am on that group, or you could give me a call anytime you require, or text anytime you require. Sorry?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.